The overwhelming majority of Americans will never owe a single dollar in federal estate tax. Not because of clever planning, but simply because of where the exemption sits today. Every American has what's called a unified credit, which is the amount your estate can be worth before any federal estate tax applies. Right now, the exemption is $15 million per individual. For married couples, it's $30 million combined. On top of that, everything you own passes to a surviving spouse completely tax-free with no cap whatsoever. The estate tax only enters the picture when assets pass from a surviving spouse down to children or grandchildren, and the total estate exceeds the 15 million or 30 million threshold. That threshold is only going to be crossed by about 0.2% of Americans. For the other 99.8%, federal estate tax simply does not apply. It was not always this way. The exemption has risen dramatically over the past 2 decades. And that history matters because it explains why estate planning became such a hot topic in the first place. From 1998 through the early 2000s, the exemption sat at around 2 to 3 million, which meant far more families faced exposure and genuinely needed to plan around it. That is when trusts became popular and estate attorneys had a real pitch to make. In 2010, the exemption climbed to 5 million. Then it jumped to 11.1 million in 2018, and it continued to rise to where it stands today at 15 million per person. The landscape changed completely, but the estate planning industry kept it quiet. Where you do need to pay attention, regardless of net worth, is at the state level. A number of states maintain their own estate or inheritance tax, with thresholds far, far below the federal exemption. For example, New York and Massachusetts tax estates above approximately just $1 million at the state level. Oregon, Washington, Minnesota, Maryland, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania all have their own rules, with rates that can reach up to 15 or 16% on amounts above the state's threshold. This is the practical reason so many retirees relocate to Florida, Texas, Nevada, or tons of other states like South Dakota, because they do not impose an estate tax for their state. If you live in one of the higher tax states, it is worth knowing your specific estate tax threshold. For everyone else, estate tax is really a non-issue. As you can see, the tax code is complicated, and I cover the broader picture of how the tax code works in this video. It's linked in the description below. The estate planning conversation is full of products and strategies that sound important, but only apply to a very, very small number of people. Before spending money on any of them, it helps to understand what each tool actually does and who it was built for. In one of my last videos, I covered the tools that smart investors use to pay less taxes. So here are the tools to pass down wealth, some useful, some that aren't useful for most people. The most useful tool that's not used enough is the gift exemption. The exemption allows each person to give up to $19,000 per year to any individual without it counting against the unified credit or triggering any filing requirement. For a married couple, that doubles to $38,000 per year per recipient. The moment a single gift from one person exceeds $19K, the excess starts drawing down that person's lifetime exemption dollar for dollar. Give one child $20,000 in a year, and $1,000 comes off your $15 million unified credit. At current exemption levels, that is barely noticeable. But the annual exclusion is still a clean, simple way to move money to family members year after year with zero tax consequence. Now, trusts are widely talked about as tools, but trusts are where the conversation gets distorted. So I want to be direct about what they actually do and who actually needs a trust. I'm a tax attorney, not an estate attorney, but I've worked on tons of estate cases and obviously my own estate. For anyone with an estate worth less than $30 million, a trust is generally not necessary for estate tax purposes. The unified credit handles the federal exposure. And if your state threshold is the concern, a conversation with a local state attorney is more appropriate than a blanket trust strategy. Where trusts do provide real value is in areas that have nothing to do with estate taxes. A properly structured trust allows assets to transfer to beneficiaries without going through probate, which is a court process that is slow, expensive, and public. A trust gives you privacy because the details of the distribution are not part of any public record. The next tool is irrevocable trust. Irrevocable trusts have you permanently give up control of the assets after transferring them in the trust. Removes those assets from your estate entirely and shields them from creditors in the event of litigation. For real estate investors, business owners, or anyone carrying meaningful liability exposure, that protection can be genuinely valuable, independent of any tax consideration. Trusts also serve important planning functions for families who have a loved one with a disability, blended families who may have complex inheritance dynamics, or for special needs dependents who require structured long-term care arrangements. Irrevocable trusts like spousal lifetime access trusts or a dynasty trust that move certain business interests in and out of your estate are only worth it if you have tens of millions of dollars in assets. If you do not, the cost and complexity of irrevocable trust planning is almost certainly not worth it. Simply put, trusts used to be estate tax tools. Today, for the vast majority of Americans, they are asset protection and privacy tools. And whether you need one depends entirely on your personal circumstances, not on a general fear of estate taxes. Life insurance is the next tool in this conversation, and it is entirely misunderstood when it comes to your estate. At its core, life insurance is a contract where you pay premiums to the insurance company, and in exchange, that company pays a tax-advantaged lump sum to whoever you designate when you die. Life insurance proceeds are not subject to income tax when paid to a beneficiary. They are, however, included in the value of your taxable estate. So if your estate were large enough to trigger estate tax, the payout would add to that total. The technical solution is to hold a policy inside an irrevocable life insurance trust, which removes the proceeds from your estate. But for the overwhelming majority of people who are nowhere near the estate tax threshold, that level of planning is really unnecessary. The more practical takeaway is that life insurance pays out income tax-free, which makes it a straightforward and legitimate tool for passing wealth to the next generation. Regardless of what tools you use for estate planning, you need to focus on one document in particular when it comes to the end of your life. Every person with an IRA or 401k needs to take it seriously, and it almost never gets the attention it deserves. When you open any IRA or 401k, you fill out a beneficiary form designating who receives the account when you die. That form is not a formality. It controls where the money goes with absolute legal authority, and believe it or not, it overrides your will entirely. I served as an expert witness in a case that makes this painfully clear. A man named his then wife as the beneficiary of his retirement account. They later divorced. He updated his will to leave the account to his new wife, but he never updated the beneficiary form. When he died, his new wife expected to inherit the retirement account, but his ex-wife received it. Because the beneficiary designation is the governing document and the will has no power to change that outcome. So every time you go through a major life change, marriage, divorce, the birth of a child, the death of a spouse, the beneficiary forms on every retirement account must be updated immediately. Definitely you want to keep a copy alongside your will, share it with your attorney, and review it at a minimum once a year. It may genuinely be the most important financial document you ever sign. IRA Financial published a complete guide on these beneficiary forms, examining why they override your will and the exact steps to make sure yours reflect what you actually want. The link is in the description. To be very direct, the energy most people spend worrying about estate taxes is almost entirely misplaced. The far more valuable question is how to keep your money away from the government while you're alive and use it on your own terms, because that is where the real leverage is. The Roth IRA, it is the most powerful vehicle for doing exactly that. You contribute after-tax dollars, the retirement account grows completely tax-free, and once you're 59 and a half and the Roth account has been open at least 5 years, every single Roth dollar you withdraw is 100% tax-free income. No income tax on the way out and no required distributions pushing you into a higher tax bracket. That tax-free income in a Roth IRA is worth more than most estate tax strategies. And if you die before spending all of your Roth money, the Roth IRA passes to your surviving spouse tax-free. It is literally the most powerful legal tax shelter out there. In Roth, we trust, and it's more than just stocks and bonds. With the right retirement structure, you can use your IRA or Roth IRA to invest in alternative assets like real estate, gold, and cryptos, which all hedge against inflation. My team's helped over 30,000 Americans invest over $7 billion in their retirement accounts, and the self-directed IRA and Roth IRA have built by far the most wealth for my clients. I actually just published a video showing you exactly why it's so powerful with real examples of clients and billionaires on how to use it correctly to maximize tax-free wealth. So watch it after this one if you're really serious about giving less money to the IRS. So rather than paying for trust structures you won't likely need, The priority is maximizing every tax advantage savings vehicle available to you while you are alive. 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, HSAs, and for the self-employed, solo 401k plan. Build a pool of tax-free money you can draw on in retirement. Use the annual gift exclusion to move money to your children during your lifetime if that fits your situation, and let a Roth IRA do the work that a complex estate plan used to be required to handle. Just make sure to name your beneficiary in your account. The goal is not to leave behind a perfectly structured estate. The goal is to invest intelligently while you're alive so you can make money, have money to spend while you're alive, spend your retirement years with financial independence, and pass on whatever's left without handing a significant portion to the government in the process. If you're not sure if you're using your retirement accounts correctly, maximizing your tax benefits, or if you want to invest in something other than stocks and bonds with your accounts, book a free consultation with our team at IRA Financial. There's no pressure, no contracts, just the info that we want more Americans to know. If you take anything away from this video, remember this: the estate planning industry has spent decades making this topic feel way more complicated and more urgent than it actually is for the average American family. At the end of the day, you want to follow the basics. Know your state-specific estate rules. Update your beneficiary forms every year and every time your family situation changes. Use the annual gift exclusion if moving money to family members makes sense for you. And put the real focus into building tax-free retirement savings through a Roth IRA or self-directed retirement account so you have tax-free money you can use on your terms that you can then pass to your future generation. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.